Hi, I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins, and welcome to Financial Lovemaking, where we talk about love, life, money, and everything in between. I'm here with my buddy, partner, and co-host, Miss S. Tia Brown. How you doing today, Tia?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am doing really well, really well. You were gloating about Tina Knowles and
Yeah.
her sexy ass,
Oh,
but you weren't talking
I
about how
went.
you weren't
I did
you
not
weren't saying that
say
she was sexy.
Mama Tina had a sexy ass. First of all, let
No,
me
no,
say
not
that.
not her
Said she
actual,
looked beautiful
not her
on the
actual.
cover.
No, 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 not her actual ass. Her the metaphorical ass.
Okay,
Like
I see
get
you
your
trying to
ass out
set
like
me up
that
for some
ass,
players,
not
but
that. I'm not talking about that.
she is looking great. I'm happy you
Yes.
cleaned that up. You have to show much respect to Miss Tina.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. When I say the word ass, it references Tina Knowles. It's with the utmost respect. And again, I'm not talking about the actual booty. I'm talking about just the
I know.
fact. I'm talking about the beauty. She came out. She appeared in red on the cover of Ebony this month and was looking fine. I mean, everybody was talking about how gorgeous she looked. And I mean, but
Absolutely.
what do you expect? You gave birth to Beyonce. I mean, come on now. And she's wearing this fiery red. And I don't know if you know this, but actually, they say instinctually when a woman wears red, she's sending a signal like, "Hey, come and get it. Like, I'm ready. I want some of this. Whatever it is." Like, did you know that?
I know that you're getting extremely happy talking
No, no,
about
no.
Miss
Seriously,
Tina.
like look it
Red
up.
red
Look it up.
Lauren. Okay.
Go Google it. Go Google it. The psychological or something psychological implications of when a woman wears red. They say when women wear red, it's like certain times of the month, certain times where they're feeling like available and sexy, and they want men to notice them because it comes from nature. Because actually, primates when the women are in heat, they become red. Like certain parts of their body become red to send signals to men, like, "Yo, what's up? Like like it's time to like make a baby." I'm just citing facts.
No,
People,
listen, I get it. Well, she's definitely looking hot,
yes,
and
very hot,
people
absolutely.
are raving about the new cover. So I think it's a major coup for Ebony magazine. And I read the story, and she talks really candidly about a lot of things. She talks about raising Beyonce and Solange. She talks about her divorce from Matthew Knowles, who she was with for 3 decades, it's a huge period of time. And she also talks about her business acumen and the choices that she's made professionally. So it was an interesting read. One of the things that I really took away from it was about her transition into getting married again. Now, many of you know she's married to Richard Lawson. The ladies out there know Lawson. He's a very handsome African American actor. And, Tina just talks about preparing herself to marry again. And one of the things that came up for me is like the huge elephant in the room, money. Now, we don't know how much Lawson is worth, but we do know that Miss Tina is the mom of the most famous woman, arguably, in the world, Beyonce. She's worked with her for all of Beyonce's life. So we know that she has a coin or two in her purse. And so when you're looking at marrying someone after having a partnership where you were growing financially with someone for 3 decades and now you're kind of starting over, so imagining that there's a lot of big conversations you have to have about finances. And this isn't just applicable, to someone just who's wealthy. These are things that you have to talk about, even if you're a thousandaire and you're getting married. So some of the things that I thought were really good tips for people to think about were, number one, your wants versus your needs. Tina says something really dynamic and powerful. She says, talking to my girlfriends in their 50s and 60s, they're all talking about, a guy has to have this, he has to look that way. She's like, I didn't put parameters on, the type of man that I was going to date. I wanted to be with someone who I felt I could connect with. So it's not about how much money he had or how handsome he was, even though she did kind of score in both cases. But it's about the compatibility. So realistic expectations is the next thing. Now, if you have someone who's working with the top talent in the world, how many people are going to be on the financial level of Tina Knowles? So you have to think about that when you're looking for a mate. And for other women and men, if you're dating someone and you've had extreme success, high six figure, high seven figure, or close six figures, most people don't make that amount of money. In fact, I did an article recently. The average salary for African Americans is $35,000. So if you're making, right, if you're making 60, 70, 80, $100,000, you're not going to have a huge amount of partners to choose from who are on your level financially. So you have to realistically set an expectation of how much money you're going to have and how much money your partner is going to have to mesh together cooperatively. And the last thing I would say is talking, having those tough conversations early on, talking through, what are your responsibilities financially to your family? How have you handled your money in the past? And what are your obligations to your ex? If you've been married for years, it's very common that you still have some finances that are enmeshed, whether it's pension, savings, 401k. These things are still going to come up. So regardless of, again, whether you're super rich or just doing well, these are some of the things you need to think about before you're commingling funds and getting married again. What are your thoughts, boys?
Well, you know what? I think that what you said is absolutely correct, and I think that it's I think that when you talk about picking a mate, you are making an investment. I think I can't emphasize that enough. You're making a huge investment in that person. If it goes wrong, it can disrupt everything else that you have going on in your life. So you have to be very careful. Tina is an interesting prospect because she's had such an interesting journey. She did spend that 30 years with Matthew. She's not 28 looking for a mate. She there's a different stage of life that
She's
she's in.
61.
Right, right. Which means that maybe, and I'm surprised that you said that she had girlfriends her age who still had all these lists and parameters and stuff like that. My argument would be that when you get to the point where where you can't really take every day for granted as much as you could when you were young. Maybe it's time to focus really on what it is you want. I mean, really what it is that works for you as a person, how someone treats you as opposed to just how they look. It's like buying a pair of shoes. I mean, do you pick shoes that feel comfortable on your feet, or do you pick shoes that look good but tear holes in in your toes? You know what I mean?
Well, it's not a great analogy for women because we also we often wear shoes that kill our feet.
That right. Well, maybe that. I mean, maybe that's something to think about. It doesn't mean you have to pick ugly shoes, but it does
Right.
mean that your comfort does mean something. And that the long term implications of wearing shoes that kill your feet is that you're gonna have bad feet when you get older. So ultimately, I think, and the same thing can be said about a job. If you pick a job just based on the prestige and the money, and you're not looking at just your well-being on that job, how happy you are doing that work, then what'll happen is one day the money and the prestige won't mean anything, and then you'll realize you spent your whole life doing something that amounted to absolutely nothing. And so I think it's good that she's giving this advice. I think for her the financial situation was obviously, I'm sure, quite complicated. I'm sure there are prenups and
Right.
yeah. Did she mention anything about prenups and talk about that
No,
kind
she
of
didn't.
stuff?
She didn't talk about that, but obviously you're in a situation where you've worked collaboratively financially with your ex for again 30 years, and you've
Hmm.
amassed a fortune that most people will never see. So it's very challenging to think about how you mix that. But I think the big picture thing is it doesn't matter at the end of the day.
Mm.
It doesn't matter. It's about, like you said, if I'm picking someone who's making me happy, if I'm making sound financial decisions, they don't have to have the same amount of money that I have. We just have to be able to work together collaboratively.
Yeah, and I think that we want to make sure people understand that when we say it doesn't matter, it doesn't mean money does not matter.
Oh,
It
absolutely.
right. Instead, it actually means that that maybe the nitpicking part doesn't matter, or having someone that's equal on your financial level doesn't matter as much. You know,
It's about picking someone who has similar values and will make healthy choices and has made good decisions,
and
but
somebody
not
and somebody
necessarily married.
and
Yeah.
somebody who just treats you really well. I mean, what people are is not as important as what people do. And in fact, if you really want to look at it more deeply, who you are is largely a function of what you do, right? So if you've got the best mate in the world, best looking person in the world, best whatever in the world, and they come and they treat you like crap, is that really a good choice for you? No, it's not. I mean, I can say that I've seen situations where people are so much happier when they're dealing with someone who adores them, who, is so happy to be with them. There was actually a woman in the Huffington Post. Did I tell you about this? Where she wrote an article saying women should not marry handsome men.
No, I didn't. Tell me about
Yeah.
that.
Well, her argument was pretty simple in that she said, look, she said, Women tend to like men with certain features, physical features, and certain features about who they are and what they've accomplished. Like, and these features tend to be correlated with high testosterone. For example, women tend to like men with chiseled features. That's testosterone, big muscles, testosterone, lots of wealth, power, athletic success, whatever it is. That's testosterone, testosterone, testosterone. She said, but the culprit of that is you want to marry that guy with high testosterone, but guess what? Testosterone makes men cheat. Men with high testosterone are far more likely to be unfaithful than men with low testosterone because testosterone heightens a man's sex drive and heightens his need for sexual variety. So when you go and you marry the NBA MVP, and think he's going to be a good husband, there's a good chance he may not be. And what she literally said in a very pragmatic sense is she said, look, ladies, if you want a man who's going to treat you well, be faithful to you, and adore you, pick a man who's slightly less attractive than you. Because he's going to be so excited about being with you that he's going to roll the red carpet out for you. Now, obviously, we know it's not true in every single case. We know that.
Right.
But on average, if you think about that, then that does help you avoid what I call the Halle Berry problem. The Halle Berry problem is because she's so pretty, she attracts the very best of men, and then she picks the creme de la creme. She picks the Eric Benet, the Dave Justice, who played professional baseball. She picks those guys at the very top, but these are also the guys where women are throwing panties at them on stage. The
Mhm.
guys like that are less likely to really be good husbands because they got other options. The minute you give them trouble, the minute you nag them too much, they're running off with some other woman who offered them what you ain't trying to do or what you're not trying to give them. So maybe the better approach would have been if Hallie had met, say, a guy who's like a doctor, who's very successful. She can brag to her friends, intelligent, all that. But he's excited about being with Halle Berry. Like, this is the woman of his dreams. And the way a man treats the woman of his dreams is usually different from the way a man treats a woman that he could get on any corner on any day of the week. That's just a fact. And it could be the very same guy. You'll notice very different behavior from the very same man in different situations based on how they perceive the woman in the hierarchy of female opportunity. That's just, so that's my piece of advice. People can send me their $50 in the mail because I know I probably just changed your life with that information because that's what your daddy should have told you. Well, right now I just gave you that information. So, and I believe it to the core
So,
of my heart.
so I
So
think our
I'm done.
takeaways are marry ugly
No, 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 no,
and
no, no, no. Marry, no, no, no. Don't marry ugly.
I'm
Don't feel like, don't pick. Just don't always
don't be
be quick to
superficial.
pick. Don't always be quick to pick the person who is like the absolute most handsome guy you could possibly get because that's the thing. Biologically, women are more likely to be attracted to the top 10% of men. It is true in the animal kingdom. That's why in a lot of species, 5% of the males produce 95% of the offspring because all the women want that guy and they ignore all the other guys. So what happens is when you hear people run around saying, "Oh, ain't no good black men out here. I can't find no good black men." I know a hundred hardworking, good black men, decent people who are like, well, like it's hard to really find good black women out here because there ain't that many. Every time I try to holler at a girl, she's trying to holler at this other guy over here. But that guy. So what I'm saying is that there are a small select few guys, the Idris Elbas of the group, who literally have more women than they can keep up with, and then there's like the masses of men who don't have that many opportunities. Yeah, and that's biology. That's what happens all throughout the animal kingdom. The difference is that animals don't have political correctness and socialization to tell them that you don't want to be a baby's mama and all that. But look throughout the animal kingdom, you usually only see baby's mamas. When you see a bear with her cubs, the father ain't nowhere around because he's off mating with other women. Seriously. I'm just being real here. So I'm gonna quit talking, but these are facts. These are things that I've learned from
It's
studying
hard to argue
nature.
these points because we have shows like Love and Hip Hop, Real Housewives, and Basketball Wives that show us the exact thing that you're talking about. That there are a few men who of perceived power, of high to medium level of attraction, but great bodies, great access, and women are throwing themselves at these men. And then you have other women trying to maintain a monogamous relationship, understanding that for every one person that she sees him with, there are 15 other women that she's not aware of. So
And let me say this last point, and you got me on a tangent. I got to finish. And I promise it'll take less than 45 seconds. Here's the thing, I'm revealing, haha, I'm revealing a tiny bit of personal information here. I don't like doing that, but every now and then I'll talk about my own dating experience. I've never been that guy who walked in a room and all the women turned their head. I'm just not that dude. Yeah,
No.
I know it's hard to believe, but it's true.
You?
Right, right. But here's the thing. So as I got a little more money, a little more stature, things changed. Right, I became suddenly more handsome to women who might have ignored me before, which is fine. It happens, right? But I've never gotten into the whole chasing women thing. That gets guys into trouble. But here's one thing that I can say was always fundamentally true was that even despite the improvements, what I saw was that I would have people say something like, "Well, Boyce, you know, you're pretty well known. People know who you are, and you have the PhD, and you have a little bit of money, so women must be throwing themselves at you. Like you must be. I'm surprised you're not getting more women hitting on you in your email." And I said, "No, it doesn't happen because I'm not that guy. I'm not the Idris Elba, right? The
Mm.
Idris Elba's the one where women will humiliate themselves just to get a night with him, right? I'm the guy that, and this, I accept that fate. I've always been the guy that women look at and say, "Oh, he'd make a good husband," right? And again, it's biological. It comes down to just, there are certain men that women are attracted to for one night stands, high testosterone men, and certain types of men women tend to be attracted to for long term relationships. These are the guys that appear to be good nurturers, good providers, the guys that are going to be there for the long haul, right? So what I observed is that there would be some women who would say, "Ooh, I like." You know, he's a smart guy. He's accomplished some things, so he would be a good provider for me and my kids, or he'd be a good husband, stuff like that. So that's when I might see the attraction coming in. But in terms of like that whole throw myself at you kind of thing, I don't see that. But I know guys who are in that category whose reality is entirely different, and it's just something that's like a switch, you know. And so what I would just say to women is just kind of know what you're signing up for. That's it. You know, just know like sometimes it's like a track team. There are some athletes that are sprinters, some that are long distance runners. Don't take a sprinter and put him in a long distance race because he gonna run real fast for about 10 seconds, then he's gonna get tired, right? So some men are not built for long term monogamous, committed, dedicated relationships. And I'm not telling people what to choose and what not to choose. I'm just saying make sure you know you're putting the right shoe on the right foot, because that's why people end up disappointed in marriage a lot of times, is because they pick the wrong person for the wrong job. And the same theory can kind of go for men. You know, you've heard theories like that, like you can't take certain women and turn them into a housewife or whatever.
Oh, to a housewife.
Well,
I get
I'm not going to use that derogatory term, but you know what I'm talking about. And don't tell me that that ain't partially true.
it.
That there aren't some women that are better to bring home to mama than other women. It doesn't mean you're not attracted to both, but it means you don't take a woman from category A and try to make her into a woman from category
On the
B.
reverse, we call them the get 'em girls, the get it girls.
Right.
These are the
There you go.
girls who, look beautiful. Every guy looks at her as a reward, a trophy, but they're disappointed when she trades up.
Right, right. Yeah, the get it girl is not the one that needs to be your wife, and that's the bottom line. So same thing for women. The
Unless it's a mutual decision and a true match. So I do have a little bit of a romantic spin, and you sometimes meet that person that's for you. But I think the big picture here is understand, like you said, what you're getting into, and make sure that it's a mutual choice. Do not try to train someone or fit, like as you said, the shoe on the wrong foot. Make sure that it's a situation where both parties are committing to something that they both want. And back to our original topic, Miss Knowles, pick up the issue of Ebony. I'm a fan supporter of the brand, and it's a great story.
Awesome. All right. Well, that's it. I'm not going to talk anymore. I got more I'm going to say. I'll say it next time because you got me rolling. So I apologize. Thank you for humoring me, Tia, and letting me kind of just.
This is what I do. Patient woman.
Oh
you
Lord,
know
I'm about to hang up. All right, everybody, take care. Bye
have a
bye.
great day, guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye bye.